This is how you clear Blackwing Descent in normal and in heroic, okay? We are gonna go over all the important mechanics and your strategy to kill every single boss as quickly as possible. It took a while to kill this place, okay? It's not gonna be that quick this time, sorry. First fight is gonna be Magmaw. The trash leading up to him is harder than the actual boss this time, actually not gonna lie. The guys slap, you gotta split them up and kill them one and the other at the same time. It's kind of annoying, but anyway, Magmaw. He has a couple simple mechanics. First of all, every so often he's gonna do a little damage to random people in the raid. You cannot do anything about that, you just gotta heal it. And he will also do a little fire damage to everybody that is close to him. Now, it is important that you keep people close to him at all times anyway, because if nobody is in range of him, he's gonna enrage and he's gonna do double damage and you die. His most iconic ability is probably Pillar of Flame. He's gonna throw fire on top of a random target. He's gonna do like an explosion. You gotta move out of the explosion, obviously, and then a bunch of worms are gonna come out, okay? These worms are like in the Alien movie, you know, they just come out, they get in you, and they just burst out, you know, kind of like, they do a lot of damage. So what you gotta do is, whenever they target somebody, you just gotta kill the worms. You gotta AoE them down as soon as possible. You can do slows, you can do that sort of stuff. They are very squishy, they should die really quickly anyway. As a matter of fact, I regret on my first run that I wasted a lot of damage because I should have just spammed Chain Lightning. I would have done a trillion damage, but I didn't until later on, so yeah. A bit after the pillar goes off, he's gonna grab a tank and CC him, so you need a tank swap. And then he's gonna do like a smash into the ground. He's gonna expose his pincers. That's the message that you're gonna read. That means that you can right click the boss and you can climb on top of him and then you can hook him to the ground. Once you hook him, the tank is gonna get freed and also he's gonna take 50% more damage. So this is the prime time to do a Bloodlust. In Heroic, there are a couple mechanics more. First of all, he's gonna throw meteors on the ground. You gotta dodge them, of course. And they leave a trail of fire everywhere. Do not stand on it. He's also going to summon skeletons that do a bunch of damage. You need the second tank to pick him up and he's gonna stack him on the boss. The thing about these skeletons is whenever they get to 20% HP, they are gonna do a spell for 8 seconds. And after that ends, he explodes and wipes the raid. So as soon as the skeleton goes to 20% HP, you gotta kill it. Depending on your raid DPS, you may be able to just cleave it down and ignore it, but some raids, if you don't have a lot of gear, you may need to actually focus down the skeletons and kill it. The other heroic mechanic is that after 30% HP, Magmaw is gonna do a Shadow Breath. He's gonna hit a random guy and people around that guy, so that means people, the range especially, they gotta spread out. Of course, you can't spread all the melee out, but you can do something in the likes of putting 3 groups of melee, and like that way, yes, they are gonna get hit, but not that many people are gonna get hit. I don't know the exact range of this, but if you look at the old videos, it seems to be about 6 yards. And that's pretty much it, okay? It's pretty simple if you DPS the right thing. You gotta remember, kill the worms, do not stand on fire, and hook him whenever you can, and pop your cooldowns as soon as you hook him. Next fight is gonna be the Omnotron defense system. These are 4 golems, they all have different abilities. The fight goes like this: you pull, you're gonna get a random golem at the start, it's different every week, and he's gonna have a rage bar, okay? This energy bar that you can see right here, it starts at 100 and it drops down. When it hits 50, he's gonna summon another golem, and when it hits 45, he's gonna do a shield. This is a common mechanic in all the golems. They are gonna put on a shield. If you hit them with the shield, you die. And where the energy bar reaches 0, they are gonna despawn. Basically, it takes 90 seconds for a full cycle. At 45 seconds, he's gonna reach 50, he's gonna spawn a new golem, and at 90 seconds, he's gonna despawn. You are gonna have to fight 2 golems at the same time for most of the fight, except at the very start for the first 45 seconds. So, ironically, it is a great idea to start the fight with all your cooldowns and pump them up, because they all share an HP pool, okay? So, if you burn the golem super hard when there is only one, you're gonna get a lot of value on it. If you have a very confident, a very competent raid group, okay, you can wait for Arcanotron, because Arcanotron has a Void Zone mechanic that buffs your damage, and that's when you can do your cooldowns. But if it is normal in particular, I think there is no reason, unless you wanna parse, I guess. Just pump your cooldowns at the start, it's the easiest, especially because you can actually have your healers DPS the boss down 2 on the start, because there is only one golem, there is not a lot of damage, so that is like extra extra value you get. The best scenario of course would be that you get Arcatron at the first golem, but that's not gonna happen every week, so that sucks. In 10-man normal, for example, they got 26 million HP more or less, so if you are really good, if you're in a guild that is doing 18k DPS, that is better than pre-raid best in slot, that is at least 4 tank swaps that you gotta deal with. That means 4 golems are gonna spawn in that time. So you are gonna see every golem, that's what I'm trying to say here. Now I'm gonna break down the golems, every one of them. You got Magmatron, that's the Magma golem. You got Arcanotron, that's the Arcane golem. You got Toxitron, that's the League of Legends golem. And Electron, the Electric golem. And don't even get me started on what Poopatron can do. You first start the fight and you ideally wanna tank them all in the middle. If you are confident in your raid not standing in bad stuff, you can keep both bosses stacked together for cleaving. They share HP pools, so you are effectively doing double damage. Of course, the tanks then have to split up the golem when it's about to do the shield at 45 energy, because if people hit it with the cleave when they are shielded, you mess everything up. Looking at you, fire mages. Magmatron is gonna be the first we go over. He's gonna do a big AoE damage, nobody can avoid it, you gotta heal it. The other ability he has is acquiring target. He's gonna throw a laser at a random guy and you gotta keep him alive because it really hurts. That's the flamethrower looking thing. Next is gonna be Toxitron. He's gonna drop a cloud of poison. You stand on the cloud, you die, do not do it. He's also gonna spawn ads, very similar to the ghost in Sunken Temple. They just target a person, then they chase that person and you gotta kill it before it reaches them. Electron, the other golem, he has a chain lightning, but you can spread out and minimize the damage it does. It is not crazy damage, you can survive it if you wanna cheese it. The one that you cannot avoid is he is also gonna throw a debuff on people that it's gonna put like thunders around you and you gotta spread out or you hit other people in the raid, so you should spread out regardless. Finally, Arcanotron. This is good. He has one spell called the Annihilator. I don't even want to break down what it does. You gotta kick it or you die. That's what it does, okay? Also, and this is why people love this guy, is because he's gonna put a circle on the ground and if you stand on it, it is gonna give you 50% more damage. It also increases his damage 50%, so you gotta move him out of it, but if you tank him outside of the circle, right outside, all the melee can stand on the circle or the range can stand on the circle, but he is not gonna stand on the circle, and that's how you melt him down. That's why people like using Bloodlust on this guy. Sometimes you can't, and that's why I'm not a big fan of doing the Arcanotron thing every time, because if you get Toxitron or Electron, you are kinda screwed because they are gonna force you to spread out, they are gonna force you to move, and you are not gonna be able to take advantage of most of the void zone, so that's kind of a waste. TLDR for this fight, do not stand in stuff, spread out when Electron comes in, do not hit them when they have the shield at 45 energy or you die, kill the ads or you die, and stand in void zones if you have the chance because boom boom. Easy to understand, really hard to get 24 idiots to do it right. There is no enrage mechanic for this fight, so there is no shame in sacrificing your DPS to do the mechanics right. No need to be a hero here, just do everything that you're supposed to and you're gonna be fine. Next fight is gonna be Chimaeron. This actually is pretty annoying. First of all, you gotta talk to the guy on the back before pulling, because he has this robot that is gonna protect you from the mechanics. Basically, this robot will make it so if you are above 10k health, you can't get one shot. You are gonna keep the entire raid spread out when you're pulling. Everybody's gonna have to stay at above 10k HP the whole fight, so AoE healing is very advisable. And he's gonna throw this thing called Caustic Slime. It basically hits somebody and it spreads. Of course, we do not want it to spread, so we're spread out so it doesn't hit other people. And they're gonna take the damage, and then they are gonna go to 1 HP, and you heal them back up, and so on. You just pump him. At the same time, he's gonna keep stacking the tank with a debuff that makes him take more damage. In normal, you can ignore it, it's not a big deal. But in heroic, you may wanna do a tank swap when he gets like 3 or 4 stacks, because that thing is scary. As a matter of fact, you wanna get a tank swap done at the end of the fight before he enrages, because that way you're not gonna get blown up super fast. About a minute into the fight, he's gonna do this ability Massacre. Very important you keep an eye on it. He's gonna kill the robot basically. For 30 seconds the robot is gonna shut down and everybody has to stack. The reason you wanna stack is because Caustic Slime, the AoE that we're spreading out for, it actually spreads damage evenly between everybody. So if 10 people are taking it at the same time, it's not gonna one-shot you. So the healers have to pump you up, everybody has to be stacked, spreading out the damage. He's also gonna stop attacking the the tank for a little bit, so there is no fear in actually getting one shot. So every healer has to drop their circle. You know, every healer has a circle AoE healing in this expansion. Just drop the circle on top of everybody that they are stacked. It's super easy. You just keep going. As soon as the robot comes back online, you can go back to spreading out. Finally, at 20%, and that's why I say that you want to have a tank swap right before 20% without any stacks. That's going to make it a lot easier. Chimaeron is going to enrage, and he's going to reduce healing by 99%. So healing is pretty pointless. He's also gonna be immune to taunts. So yeah, he's gonna kill the tank and then he's gonna go run around the room killing everybody that he can find. Of course, this means that this is a traditional DPS race. There is not much you're supposed to do here but kill him before that happens. One thing that you can do to save a little more time is that you can put your two best ranged DPSers, your pumpers, in opposite corners of the room. And that way he's gonna hit this guy, he's gonna kill him, and then he has to run all the way to the other side of the room because the second guy is there. And that way you can get a couple more seconds of DPSing him down. Oh, also, after 20% if you're in Heroic, Nefarian is gonna throw shadow damage to the whole raid. Yeah, you got that going on too. Have fun. Next boss is Atramedes. I am the exception in the world here. I love Atramedes, okay? I think this fight is really ambitious. It's one of my favorite fights in Cataclysm. Atramedes is blind, and that means that he's gonna use sound to find you guys. So my UI was bugged. I'm gonna drop a Wikora here that I found that fixes it. I don't know, maybe DBM is gonna fix this for you, but for now get the Wikora. You're gonna need it this fight. It's gonna be on my Discord on the Cataclysm UI channel. This guy is rather simple to do. He's first of all gonna give you sound. This is the bar that you're gonna display with the Wikora, and if you reach 100, you die. He is also gonna increase the raid sound over time, so you're gonna have to reset it eventually. We're gonna go over that one in a minute. Now, during the fight, he's gonna choose a random player every so often, and he's gonna do a fire breath on him. Now, the only way to dodge it is to spin around him, so that means everybody else has to pay attention, because you also have to spin around or he's gonna get you. And you also gotta be careful, because during this fight, there are gonna be puddles of fire everywhere, and if you stand on that fire, you also get, it's basically a death sentence. It does a lot of damage. Keep in mind, basically any damage that you take in this fight is gonna give you sound, and even still, if you hit 100, you still die. After a while, Atramedes is gonna pick up, he's gonna fly, and he's gonna start throwing bombs. You gotta spread out so he doesn't hit anybody. He's also gonna do like a super cool looking flamethrower, and he's gonna do on a random target. You gotta run from him, and he's gonna leave a trail of fire when you run. So that's the part that really kills raids here. You are not supposed to run in a circle on this part. You gotta run in a straight line, maybe a little off the middle. And that way you're gonna block the least amount of pathway possible so you can run later. A lot of people wipe here because the fire gets like way out of hand and then you cannot really run around the place anymore. Okay, so let's say you messed up a mechanic, or let's say enough time has passed and everybody has a lot of sound on them globally, because over time your sound is going to increase. That means you gotta reset your sound. That's the way you do it. Is you hit this ancient dwarven shield, is a gong. You click the gong, your sound resets. Atramedes is gonna get stunned and you're gonna do 50% more damage. That's the perfect moment to drop all your cooldowns in, of course. After you click it, he's gonna destroy the gongs. In normal, he's gonna destroy only one, so you got pretty much forever to kill this guy. But in Heroic, he's gonna destroy two, so you're in a tight check right here. You are gonna eventually run out of drums, so this is a DPS race. The only real mechanic in Heroic that is different, honestly, is that aside from taking a lot more damage, he's gonna do a lot of damage in Heroic. Nefarian is gonna be throwing ads at you. They are like skeleton guys, and they make sound, so you gotta kill them before they become a problem, basically. Overall, this fight is very fun. It is a very fair fight, you know. You mess up, you die. You don't wipe the whole raid when you mess up. I think it's amazing. I don't know why to this day people hate it. Next fight is Maloriak. This guy is harder than getting a normal haircut in South Korea. If you look at this footage, you're gonna see we got the 359 beta gear right here. We basically overpowered this fight with damage, but do not be fooled. This fight is gonna be really hard on Prives. The main mechanic with Maloriak is the ads. He has these 20 ads in jars in the room, and he's gonna summon them, and they do a lot of damage. Now you can kick his spell to release the aberrations, that's the name of the ads. You don't wanna do that because at the end of the fight he's gonna summon them all at the same time, so if you didn't kill them earlier, you are gonna wipe. And these guys slap. So much so that you need a slowing trap on the ground and the tank has to kite him or he dies. While the tank is kiting, the range should be trying to clip the adds down as fast as possible because that is gonna help later, and also because that way you get more damage in the meters. Also, do not drag the adds near the boss or you're gonna get more damage from them. They get really upset when you do that. Now at 25% HP, Maloriak is going to enrage and he's gonna release all the adds that you didn't kill. And he's gonna start doing a gazillion global damage. He's gonna throw ice and fire everywhere, you gotta dodge it. So at that point, you gotta kite the adds and you gotta burn him down as fast as possible. There is no way you can do both. As you can imagine, when I say this, it is a good idea to actually, when Maloriak gets close to 25%, it's a great idea to tell everybody in the raid, do not hit Maloriak, focus down the adds, kill the adds before this happens, and then you focus down Maloriak, so that way you get a head start on everything else. In the middle of the fight, though, there is a couple annoying mechanics that you gotta deal with. He has Arcane Storm, that's an AO, you gotta kick it as soon as possible. He's also gonna throw Remedy on himself, that's a heal, you gotta purge it. And every 40 seconds he's gonna grab a flask of a color and each color has unique abilities. The red one makes him breathe fire, do not stand in front of him or he's gonna breathe fire on you. And he's also gonna throw a random dot at somebody for a lot of damage. He has the blue flask, this one is gonna do a debuff on you, biting chill, you gotta move away from the raid when you get it because it's gonna hurt people around you. And he's also gonna do this mechanic where he's gonna freeze around on target, that is out of range, so a ranged DPS or a healer most of the time. The thing about this freeze is that it's gonna do AoE damage, so everybody has to spread out as soon as you see a blue flask to prevent that from happening. And also, the way you break him out of the ice is you gotta break the ice itself, is like a target. The problem is that when the ice shatters, it's also gonna do AoE damage, so only the ranged DPSers can hit the ice. Finally, the green flask, this one is always guaranteed to be the third one. He's gonna get rid of the mechanic that makes the bosses enrage when they get close to the boss, you know, when the adds get close. So if your second tank is smart, during the green phase, he's gonna run all the way to the boss with the adds so everybody can cleave everything down. You only have 15 seconds for it, so you gotta be a little careful, but I am sure that in speedrunning guilds, this is gonna be one of the common strats. The problem with this phase, the mechanic, is that it increases your damage taken by 100%, so yeah, it is not very fun. Now in Heroic, he's gonna gain a new type of flask, the black one. This one is gonna be thrown in between every other flask. He's gonna breathe shadows in front of him, so do not stand in front of him again. He's also gonna summon these slimes that throw fires on the ground, you gotta dodge them. The tank has to pick up all the adds and clip them down alongside the other adds. And that's pretty much it, okay? It doesn't change a lot in Heroic, it's just harder. Now the mechanics are nothing crazy, do not stand on stuff, kill the adds. The problem is that this fight is a super tight DPS check, it is a super tight healing check, it is a super tight tanking check. Basically, your numbers are very hard to come by. In the beta we had 359 gear, so we made it look like it's super easy because we overpowered all the mechanics with numbers, but that will not be the case at launch. This fight is gonna be really hard, so you better study up and get ready for it. Finally, the last boss in the raid, Nefarian and Onyxia. This fight kinda sucks because you're gonna need 3 tanks for this fight, so Feral Bears, Feral Druids, Feral DPSers are gonna be very desirable because they can easily flex from one to another. You start this fight by dropping down and pulling Onyxia. She has an energy bar, okay? If that energy bar reaches 100, you wipe. But do not get baited by that, do not try to burn Onyxia down because Nefarian is also gonna be present in the air, and that's actually the guy that farts in your pillows. That's the guy you actually gotta kill really fast. So what you gotta do in phase 1 is try to DPS Nefarian as much as possible while also getting Onyxia down in time. You never wanna kill Onyxia too fast. At some point he's gonna spawn skeleton adds, they are gonna do a bunch of damage. Once again you gotta pick him up and you gotta kite them, that's gonna be one of the tanks. And the movement in this fight sucks because you cannot stand in front of Onyxia or Nefarian, you cannot stand behind them either, you gotta stand on the sides, and even then there is a lot of damage going through. At about half the energy bar of Onyxia, Nefarian is gonna drop down on the ground and a tank is gonna have to pick him up again, and they gotta spread them out. If they get too close, you wipe again. So all the range gotta focus Nefarian and all the melee gotta keep focusing Onyxia. Of course you gotta keep an eye out, you gotta kill Onyxia before the timer, do not forget. But yeah, just try to kill Nefarian very fast. There is also another mechanic in Heroic, it's called Dominion, it's the mind control. You get a mind control and you get a new abilities. you get one ability that gives you more damage and one ability that breaks you out of the mind control. So what you gotta do is spam the more damage ability as much as you can before hitting a portal and dying, and then as soon as you break out, you do a bunch of damage. As soon as Onyxia dies, the phase 2 ends, Nefarian is gonna flood the place with lava and you gotta climb on one of these 3 pillars to survive. Now you have to spread people evenly in those pillars, ideally 8 people per pillar. There is going to be an ad in this pillar, but he doesn't do any damage, he's just gonna cast a spell and you gotta kick it or you die. So all the melee gotta kill the ads, and the range, once again, you gotta focus down Nefarian. Now in Heroic, Nefarian is also gonna knock you up, so you're gonna have to fall in the lava and you're gonna have to run back into the pillar, but that's not a big deal. So your main goal is to pump Nefarian down. You got 3 minutes and this phase ends. Also keep in mind that if you kill 1 ad in Heroic or 3 ads in Normal, if you kill them, Nefarian is also gonna drop down, he's gonna force the end of this phase, and that's a bad problem. You want to stay in this phase as long as possible so you can do free damage to Nefarian safely. So you DPS down Nefarian for 3 minutes, you make sure you do not kill the ass quite yet until the very end when the phase ends, because Nefarian forces it to end at 3 minutes, then you burn down all the ads really quick. They should be pretty low by now. Now this phase 3 is a pain in the ass, it is a DPS race basically. Nefarian is gonna summon a bunch of super strong ads, they are like stronger skeletons, and you're gonna need 2 tanks to actually pick him up, and the main tank is gonna stay on the boss. Nefarian is also gonna throw fire to the ads, and if the ads catch that fire, they are gonna get stronger, so they gotta keep moving constantly. That fire is also gonna stay on the ground once it drops, and that's a problem because it's really hard to see. It's purple. I made this weak aura that is gonna do a sound every time you stay on the fire so you can move away. It's really hard to tell if you're standing on fire in that fight, so I put it in the Discord too. And that's pretty much the whole phase. It is not crazy, it is just really hard to survive it because there is a lot of damage going on. Also, every time he drops 10% HP, so 90%, 80%, 70%, so on and so forth, he's gonna do a bunch of damage, so the healers gotta be ready for that. Some raids like setting up a cooldown order where like you healer 1 you pop your cooldown at 80%, then you healer 2 you pop your cooldown at 70%. I don't think it's necessary, maybe in Heroic it is. But yeah, you gotta organize it a little bit because there is gonna be a lot of damage going through. Also keep in mind, the Heroic there is still mind control on it. You gotta make sure that you're not standing on the fire during the mind control, but you should take advantage of it and get your DPS increase from that thing because you're gonna need that damage. But yes, aside from all this nightmare, the only thing you gotta focus on is burn Nefarian as fast as possible, and that's pretty much it. And yes, this is by far the most complex raiding guide I have ever made. Sadly, I think in Cataclysm boys, the 10-minute raiding guides, they are long gone, okay? A single fight in here has more mechanics than all of Sunken Temple, so yeah, I'm gonna try to break down the next raids. I'm gonna do a Throne of the Four Winds, I'm gonna do a Bastion of Twilight guide too, but yeah, there is a lot of more difficulty in these raids, and with more difficulty comes a lot more explaining. Subscribe, leave a like, join the Discord, and thank you for watching!